Let's get started then. Okay, this project tests large language model AIs on difficult medical diagnostic patient cases for GP use, as many NHS GPs are now consulting ChatGPT for this. So it targets complex conditions where the nervous system, endocrine and immune systems overlap, areas where there's misdiagnosis rates of up to 50%. I've used prompt engineering, which turns clinical protocols into text prompts like you just use in ChatGPT to force the AI to reason like a specialist. The experiment evaluated 7 AIs numbered 1 to 7, which I'll describe later. Each variant tackled 240 med-MCQA patient cases. These are taken from an exam postdocs sit to qualify for specialist positions. Cases were divided across the 3 categories you can see, and AI diagnostic accuracy was compared against junior doctors and medical experts who previously completed this same data set in other studies. Each AI selects one of 4 multi-choice answers from the 240 questions are composed of that, which are marked right or wrong, and the resulting overall diagnostic accuracy percentage can be compared with human performance. On to the next slide for more details on this. So some more details are that our testing prompts of increasing sophistication, starting from no prompt, simply ask the AI to answer the patient case. Then comes COT, short for chain of thought, which forces basic logic. You can see that on the slide at the bottom. Going further, differential diagnostics, prompts, chain of thought, DDCOT, directs the model to use differential diagnostic logic, and DDCOT feedback adds a more elaborate multi-stage version of DDCOT. Existing studies have already proved these more elaborate prompts to increase AI performance. I also evaluate 3 AI systems with progressively higher tested general IQs. These are ChatGPT with 69 on Mensa, DeepSeek R1 with 89, Google Gemini Pro with 115. As you'll know by now, even lower IQ models like GPT are extremely powerful due to their vast processing. So my question was, how will the reasoning and advanced reasoning models, that's the DeepSeek and Google Gemini, fare on patient cases? So higher AI variant numbers in this study predict greater reasoning abilities, whether it be due to the AI model and or the prompt methods used. So on to the results. Spearman's rank correlation 0.27, p less than 0.001 shows that greater AI reasoning capability lifts the diagnostic accuracy. And you can see this in the bar chart echoed. This was done with one sample proportion analysis of percentage accuracy with confidence intervals. Human scores appear first on the x-axis in red, followed by AI, I'll just move this about, AI variants in increasing order reasoning abilities, topping out at 97% for Google Gemini 2.5 with no COT prompt, that's in green. Effective prompt versus no prompt was tested with Kruskal-Wallis pairwise post hoc Bonferroni procedure. There's no time to mention all these stats, but you can see in the chart that unprompted AIs are drawn with a solid fill, and the prompted ones is a cross texture within that same colour, because the 3 AI families had the distinct colours of blue, purple and green. Effectiveness of the advanced prompts were mixed, and I'll come back to that. Referring to the table, between question category consistency, that's the different categories from earlier. This was examined with Friedman's test and a 7-way Kruskal-Wallis and raw percentage scores as well, with only 4 of the 7 AI variants remaining consistent. But overall, the AIs exceeded human performance reported in the literature. And by the way, the reason that the expert adjusted is lower is because that was trimmed down to reflect that this is a tougher version of the med-MCQA test, and the GP performance was generally estimated from other studies. Okay, on to the conclusion. So the leaderboard you see at the top here, this exists from previous publications, and you can see the previous base is 74% for other systems, now far surpassed by this Gemini 2.5 without chain of thought scored 97. The DDCOT prompt slightly lowered it and also had mixed effects on other AI. Such an exceptional score raised a data contamination worries big time here. Did the models already know the answers? I doubt it, and there's existing research from Google and others on this issue, on this very data set. I can answer in my question. So let me point out the Gemini's very high general IQ is positioned at the top of the IQ curve that you can see here. So it's one of the best out there. Regarding the prompting, reducing performance sometimes, I had to wrestle with models repeatedly curtailing deeper processing. And one reason for that is our IQ improvements come from adding more brain-like processing. So they're more prone than us to stopping cognitive activity if there's no chance of their internal reward functions being fulfilled. So the solution for that is to use harder patient cases that leaves more room for the AI to improve. And you can see when the GPT had low scores, it moved quite a bit when it had some prompting until it reaches a ceiling again, which are lower ceiling, but I can't get into why there's not enough room. So just to wrap up, good results, but this area moves so fast that more challenging data sets are required. Regardless, it recommends NHS GPs using ChatGPT with its 55% accuracy move to Gemini, and it shows that if we feed in the right data to the AI, then our own medical evaluations could actually be superior to what we're going to get from GPs anyway. And all this, remember, just bear in mind, all this is accelerated from nowhere in the past 4 years from these very low results, 28% at the bottom of that leaderboard, to outstripping human performance. So just ask yourself where we're going to be in another 5 years. Okay, that's it.
LLMs know that they've got the right data and it's not corrupted or there's some misinformation in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, these are two different. There's different levels of contamination because I've had to go quite into this now. So there's misinformation, and actually read studies in which they were concerned with medical misinformation, and then there's also question answer contamination, which is more the problem here that we're worried about, which is, did they already have the answers, because this data set made MCQA is available online, and so regarding the actual did it have the answers, I didn't put the reference in there, but I actually found out yesterday that Google had actually been publishing in Nature up to last year medical evaluations on this data set, and in the publication made in 2024, they actually went into great detail to show that there actually had been contamination, at least of 20% of the dataset had been contaminated, in the sense that when they searched for it, they could see the AI already knew some of the actual text in it. And so they conservatively presumed that it knew the answers at 20%. So then they ran more tests to see if that actually affected its performance. Did it get more right than it did with other aspects of the data set which it wasn't contaminated with. And they only found like 4%, which could be put down to natural variance, and which would, if you put it, that's 4%, and that's 20% of the data set. So you divide that again by 4 or 5 over the whole thing. It would only make a 1% difference in performance, and again, that could be due to variance. And the reason is because the answer, if you look at this in an Excel sheet, the questions are contained in separate columns from the answers. So for the AI to actually, it trawls a lot of data, but for actually to make the association, these are the answers for the questions, when it's not told to do that, is another thing. So it's probably not even made the links that that's the answers to the questions. It's just eats up a whole lot of data. So that's the main one, and there's I got a whole list of actually 12 points I made on this area, because Apple published a paper on it last week, accusing Google of being contaminated, and there's a whole thing, and then other academics came out to refute that within a week, and they actually used AI to co-author the refutation of it. So it's quite. But anyway, as for this, I don't think there's any data contamination on it, but based on that anyway. But it has been a big concern for me.
And that'll be a really interesting discussion point for your EMA as well.
Yeah, I might find out more about it by then, because there are actually, I did consider running more contamination tests, but because I found out how to do them, it's just whether it's practical to do that here. So,
Lovely. Well, thank you for that, Felix. Joe, is there anything you wanted to ask Felix quickly? I know you've
honestly, AI completely goes over my head. So, although interestingly, it is interesting to see what you presented there in terms of how GP surgeries are looking to use it to make medical diagnoses, because I'm actually an insurance underwriter for critical and health insurance, and we are actually starting to introduce AI to help us underwrite. So essentially taking the GP reports, using AI to filter through it and figure out whether or not they can make decisions to offer terms to people, or whether or not it needs to be referred to an actual underwriter for manual underwriting. And listening to you speak, I just think, wow, I haven't got a clue about what that means, because it just completely goes over my head. I think I'm just so, I don't know how, because
actually,
I grew up in the age of computers, but somehow I just don't understand it. So it was really interesting to see how it's being used in a healthcare setting.
So the insurance underwriters could actually use a system like this to actually predict what's going on with the patient even before they've had a whole lot more tests. And this is a whole contentious area, actually.
Yeah, because actually that's something that we do at the moment, is we look at reports, and if we have concerns about a person's health, we actually refer them back to their GP, or we'll send them for medical screenings.
Oh God.
Sorry about that, Felix. It seems Adobe was having a bit of a minute.
Oh yeah.
My laptop's old as well, and like I was just saying, technology goes over my head. I thought, what on earth have I done? I've been stressing.
No.
We manually underwrite things, and then if we think that we can see a diagnosis that the person hasn't actually been diagnosed with, we do send them off, either refer them back to the GP surgery, or we send them for medical screenings and things to try and get to the bottom of what all their symptoms are, rather than offering insurance. So, like you say, if AI does come into it, it could actually do it a lot quicker and probably a bit cheaper than what we're currently doing as well. So it's really interesting. But yeah, that completely went over my head, if I'm honest, because AI is just, I don't understand it at all.
It's a lot of info to take in, but it is actually based on how the brain works. More and more as they get better, they just put more brain bits into it.
Yeah.
And so they're actually starting to behave a bit like us in the way that they refuse to process things if they don't think it's worth their while. It's quite funny, but it caused me a lot of problems trying to get this done.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So that's it. It's a good result anyway, for this. So, yep.
Thank you. Right. Joe, it's your turn.
Thank you. I think mine will come across as quite basic now by comparison to that, but we'll see how we get on. I think as well that the sharing facility is gone, because I can't control that cursor anymore.
Right, let me see if I can go on